So, since tomorrow is Halloween and I did a Halloween video earlier in the week, I thought today that we would stop and rank my favorite Halloween movies of all time. I'm going to give you my top 10, and I gotta be honest, this list was really hard to make, but I don't want to spend too much time blabbering, and I want to go ahead and get into the video. Once we hit 100 subscribers, there will be a giveaway of a Marvel gift basket of a Funko Pop, a Marvel comic, and a Marvel mug. Subscribe, comment, like to enter into that. I'll give it away as soon as we hit 100. Thank you for watching. Let's get into the video. So, at number 10, we have Get Out. Now, Get Out was a really nice surprise for me when it came out a few years ago. I saw the trailer, and the trailer did a lot to pull me in, and I was kind of excited about the trailer, but when I went and saw the movie, it really blew me away. I was expecting it to be good just because of the original storyline that Jordan Peele was presenting, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And the reason that I like this movie so much is because it's realistic, and this stuff could realistically happen. And I think horror movies that are realistic get a higher grade. They resonate with me more. So this is just a really well-made film and a really good addition to the horror franchise. At number 9, we have Sinister. Now, Sinister is one of the craziest movies that I've ever seen. I remember the first time I watched it, I was just kind of in awe and shocked and horrified all at the same time. The kills that they have in it are pretty creative, and the fact that they use the kids to kill the parents is a really creative twist into storytelling. I don't know if you've not seen the movie, spoiler alert, but especially the twist at the end with the main protagonist kids killing him and his wife. But overall, it's a really well-made movie. It's a movie that I watch quite a bit, not just at Halloween, so that's why it comes in at number 9. At number 8 is Friday the 13th Part 4. Now, this is my personal favorite in the Friday the 13th franchise, and the Friday the 13th franchise is my favorite slasher franchise. The reason this one is my favorite is because I think that it had a lot of creativity to it, to not only have Jason slashing up teenagers, but to add Tommy's character into the mix. I liked some of the storyline that they presented us with, and it's just a really fun movie to watch. It's pretty fast-paced. It doesn't really get boring at times. It's not overly goofy. So it's my favorite out of the franchise. I also like Part 6 a lot, and to be honest, I thought that the remake from 2009 was better than any of the other slasher remakes, so I usually watch it every year too, but this one is my favorite of the franchise. At number 7, we have the original Halloween. Now, most people might have this pretty high, and some people probably don't have it on their list at all. Going back and watching this every year, you kind of feel like, for all the hype that's built around it, it's kind of overrated. But in my opinion, I don't think it's overrated, but I do think it's kind of slow. It doesn't really pick up until over halfway into the movie. The first half especially is basically him just stalking Laurie, so it doesn't really pick up. There's not a ton of kills in it. I think a lot of people watch it just for the respectfulness that it paved the way for other slasher movies and for that type of horror movie in the 80s and 90s. But I still enjoy watching it every year. I try to watch the entire franchise aside from number 3, and then I don't really care for Resurrection that much. But I like it a lot. I think that it really did pave the way. It's definitely in the top 10 any day of the week, and it could switch around. One day it might be 5, one day it might be 9, but it's definitely always going to be in my top 10. At number 6, we have what is known as one of the most terrifying movies of all time, The Exorcist. Now, The Exorcist did a lot for the horror genre. Up until this time, it came out in 1973. up until this time, people had never really seen a movie that looked so real. When she gets possessed, the cuts on her face, and when she spits up the green, slimy looking whatever that is, and the bed shaking, and her rising up, and then her crab walking with her back arched down the stairs. People had never seen effects like that done in a movie. So I can't imagine back then going and watching this, and it would definitely scare me, because that is as real as it got for the time period. And in my opinion, most of the effects still hold up today. So it's a really fun movie to watch. Well, I don't know about fun, but it's a good movie to watch, good storytelling. It's got a good plot. It did a lot for the horror genre, and I watch it every year because even though it's 2020, it's still pretty terrifying to me. Cracking our top 5 is Scream. Now, Scream is the best, in my opinion. It's the best of the slasher movies. The Scream franchise is the second best franchise, in my opinion, behind Friday the 13th. But the original Scream is one of the best horror movies ever made, in my opinion. I love that they went with the idea of having two killers that kind of changed out, and how it was people that everybody was friends with. It wasn't some random person just killing people like Jason or Freddy, but these people were trusted by everybody else because they were part of that friend group and part of the community. So I think that was a nice way to tell the story. I really enjoy Scream. I watch it every year too. Every movie in this top 5 I watch usually multiple times a year. So Scream comes in at number 5. At number 4 we have It from 2017. Now I like the original TV movie It. I think that it was good for its time, but I think the remake in 2017 just did it a lot better. They were able to do more because of special effects and CGI and just technology of today. So it's better in my opinion. I think Bill Skarsgård does an absolutely terrific job playing Pennywise. He's menacing. He at times is actually scary. But I think that it does a good job of portraying the novel. Not everything in the novel is in the movie, and that's probably a good thing because the novel is pretty detailed and some parts are kind of questionable and probably couldn't even be put into a movie legally. So I think they did a good job with what they worked with, and I enjoy this movie a lot, and it's my favorite of the It franchise. Number 3 is an interesting one, not because of what the movie is, but because I had not seen this movie until about a week ago. And that movie is Psycho from 1960. Now, as much of a pop culture fan and as much of a horror fan and a movie fan that I am, I'm honestly embarrassed to say that I have never seen Psycho in my life up until a week ago. And after watching it and having a week to digest it, this movie is brilliant. Alfred Hitchcock just really blew my mind. And it's not over the top with the kills. They're not like, oh my gosh, that was a crazy kill. And it's not like in your face gory. It doesn't have a lot of those wow elements. It's black and white, so the cinematography, it's not colorful and it doesn't draw your eye, but it is just a good story, and that's all that a movie needs. The fact that his mother is dead the whole time, and also I can't believe that I didn't know the twist in it that his mother was actually dead. I don't know how that I'd never heard that in my life, but I went into this movie not knowing anything about it, and I was just blown away at how good the story was. I loved the twist at the end. The acting from, I can't remember his name, the guy that plays Norman, really good job acting. That last shot where he smiles while he's talking in his mother's voice in his head, chilling. Just a terrific movie, a terrific story. It proves that you don't need the flashiness of Hollywood to make a good story, because this is one of the best movies that I've ever seen in my life. Number 2, we have Silence of the Lambs. Now, as you can probably see from this list, I don't like the gory, hundreds of kills in a movie type of horror movie. I like the psychological horror, the horror that will keep you up at night, because, like, in my opinion, if I watch any of a slasher movie or Saw or something like that, that doesn't scare me, it doesn't keep me up at night. But a movie like Silence of the Lambs, and this is an honorable mention, but The Conjuring, they are movies that genuinely terrify me. And the reason is because that stuff can actually happen, and it's not in your face horror. It's stuff that plays with your mind, and it leaves a lasting effect in your head. And for days, sometimes even weeks after I watch a movie, most of the time it's after the first watch, but I remember the first time I watched Silence of the Lambs, I literally thought about it for like 2.5 weeks after I watched it, because it just plays with your head, and I think that's what a good horror movie should do. So that's good writing, and I love this movie. Watch it multiple times a year, usually 2 or 3, and it's definitely always going to be in the top 10 for me. Before I give you my number 1 pick, I'm going to name a couple of honorable mentions. The first honorable mention, I'm going to go with Insidious. The original Insidious was a really good storyline. They did a good job of actually scaring me in that movie too, but I was pretty young when I watched it for the first time, so that's probably why. Another honorable mention that I said just a second ago is The Conjuring. I watched it in theaters, and I was really blown away at it. Just the practical effects that were used, and actually watching somebody be dragged around a room and without using CGI was just actually terrifying, in my opinion. So that's definitely another honorable mention, and could even crack the top 10 at times. And then for my last honorable mention, I'm going to have to go with the original Saw. After the original one, they just kind of became pointless torture. So the first one had a good storyline, and it had a good twist at the end with the dead guy in the room being Jigsaw. So I really like the original Saw, but the ones after that just kind of fell off because it was 2 hours of torture. But coming in at the number 1 spot, my favorite horror movie of all time, and you probably guessed it by now because of all the other ones I said, but it's The Shining. The Shining is probably in my top 10 movies of all time. It might even be in the top 5. It's definitely anywhere from 5 to 8. But I absolutely love The Shining. It's based off a Stephen King novel as well. It doesn't follow as closely. It's not exact to the novelization, but the movie, in my opinion, is better. I've listened to the audiobook of The Shining, and I like what the movie did much more. And this is the 1980 movie that we're talking about, Stanley Kubrick's. You probably knew that, but just pointing that out. But this is another one of the psychological horror movies, and it's also a psychological thriller because you're on this roller coaster of a ride with this family that's isolated up in the hotel, and you're able to see the progression of Jack's character just go downhill. And it really makes you wonder what's going to happen next in the film the entire time. There's a constant sense of urgency, and I love this movie. I watch it all the time, probably 3 times a year. I can never get enough of it. It keeps my attention every time, and it's just a really fun watch. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for staying this long to see my whole ranking. Remember, if you want to be entered into the giveaway, like, comment, or subscribe. Doing all three will get you a better chance. I hope you have a good Halloween. Please be safe and keep watching movies and keep being a horror fan.